Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is an IS-4. It's a Tier 10 Soviet heavy tank. It's located on the north spawn of Tundra and it's under the command of Cross of St. George. Game on. Well, the IS-4. Not a very popular tank actually, mainly because it's not a great tank in any particular aspect. It's considered by wargaming to be the jack of all trades, master of none. It's got a 122mm gun which is capable of 440 alpha, and with the standard rounds it'll go through 258mm of armour, and with premium rounds it'll go through 340, but you can see that Cross of St. George isn't loaded with any premium rounds whatsoever, and he just fired a get off my patch shell of that EBR 105 as he retreats. As you can see, it's got a fair turn of speed, but it's sluggish on acceleration, it's a bit underpowered. Now originally it was known as the Object 701, and they built two prototypes during the war actually, started work on them in 1943, December 1943, and the first two production prototypes, or not production, the first prototypes came off in April 1944. So the war was well underway and they were winning, and they were still producing tanks like this. In many ways it's similar characteristics to some of the other tanks you'll see, like the IS-3, and it looks to all intents and purposes like an IS-2 from many aspects when you look at it. Kind of the hull looks like an IS-2. Oh, he just blocked a shot there from the IS-7. Trying to get his shots in on that Jaeger, but I don't think he's going to be able to pen. Oh, we can get there. He's using the penetration indicator at the centre of the reticule to tell him can he get the shot in. He refrained from shooting the Jaeger because he realised that he wouldn't be able to get through the armour. He's going to try again here. Yes, he gets it. Only gets tracked. Went through the top armour of the IS-7 where it's weak. Cross of St. George doesn't like using premium ammo because he thinks he can actually get the job done with standard ammo. And he didn't get it done there, and in fact actually took two rounds, one from the Jaeger, which was an HE, and the IS-7 fired HE at him as well. Something that's probably going to be done less of when they do the HE reworking, if they bring in the changes that are in the sandbox. I know many of you have actually seen what those changes are, but they're dreadful. It's going to make firing HE pointless in future. Hopefully that won't affect Arty, but oh, what's going on here? He's getting shoved in the rear by the IS-7, and he was just hit again by the IS-7. This time round it was an APCR round, went through his upper plate. So not very friendly by his teammate. Pulls back after blocking a shot from the 268. Now apparently the real IS-4 had absolutely dreadful gun depression. It only has 3 degrees, but in the game wargaming have given it 6 degrees of gun depression, which is actually quite generous if you think about it. He tried to track the IS-7 there so he could get some damage assist, and the IS-7 behind him is being a real pain in the butt. Oh, get a shot through the upper plate of the IS-7 there. That was a good one. That was neat. You can see that the turret of the IS-4 is kind of flattened. In some respects it looks like the IS-7 or IS-6 turret, but not quite. It's similar shape, but a bit fatter, you might say. Now they produced quite a few prototypes using different guns and different armour configurations. Some of them, and he's trying to go for the polar, and he gets it! Lovely shot there. Low roll, but it's a good shot.
Thanks a lot.
And the IS-7 is not happy, I think, but I'm not sure if that's a sarcastic thing there, but he's actually pulling back. And he gets another pen on the IS-7. He's now got a Spartan because he's only got 73 hit points left, and I wouldn't say he's going to last very much longer at this rate, but he's still getting damage. He's up to 3k. Now some of the guns that they configured it for was the 100mm, and others with the 122. Apparently it never had the gun that's specified in the game, although it was configured to carry that gun, it never actually did carry it. Now it's got the same gun as the ST1 in actual fact, and the armour is not bad. As you've seen here, he's managed to block a lot of damage, 5.2k of damage blocked, and some of the tanks that have been firing at him are things like the Jaegeru, who've been derping him with 17cm shells and just not getting through the armour. The armour on the hull is only 15cm, 16cm in some places on the sides, spaced armour, and he's got turret armour of 25cm at the front and 200 at the sides. And that 103B is putting up a fair fight against this Jaegeru. He's still trying to go for the weak spots, didn't get that one in, and we lost the strip was set on fire. Actually, he wasn't lost, it was just set on fire, and that IS-7 is now kind of trapped, and now he's very vulnerable, and yeah, gets damage, but he didn't get the kill. The kill actually went to the IS-7 on our team. So there are 4 tanks up on the enemy now. Now by 1945 they produced 2 more, so that meant that they'd actually have 4 prototypes actually running around before the end of the war. And after the end of the war, when they stopped production of the IS-3, they started producing IS-4s, and eventually they built 235 or 258, depending on whose books you actually agree are correct. Most of these tanks were actually sent out to the Far East, to near the Chinese border, because Stalin was considering using them against the Americans in the Korean War. But of course the Soviets never actually entered the Korean War, because the Chinese basically told their Soviet counterparts if they did come in, there would be nuclear war, and they didn't want to be part of it, because of course at the time the Chinese didn't have any nuclear weapons and they thought that they would be wiped out. So they were discouraging the Soviets from actually getting involved in the Korean War. And so all the IS-4s that were built, that were sent out to the Middle East, to the Far East rather, weren't used. They just stayed out there. Well, it looks like this game's going to be over very soon, because there's only 3 enemies left. They've got a Patton, a Batchat 25 ton, and a 60 TP. And 60 TP's up on the hill, he's very badly wounded. The Patton, well, he's almost out of juice as well. We don't know the state of affair with the Batchat. He's hiding in the northeast corner of the map, and there's an IS-7 trapped him there, and I think he's going to get wiped out very soon. I think you can see that one of the weak spots of this vehicle was that top armour, which is a bit like the IS-3 really, for that sense. The top armour on the IS-3, right above the gun, right above the mantlet, is rather weak there, and that's where you can put rounds in. It's the same with the IS-7. That's exactly what he was doing to take down the IS-7. But he's now going to try and get rid of that 60 TP if he can. He's loaded an HE round to do it. He's out of standard AP, it's all he's got is HE, but he should be able to take that guy out with just 1 shot if he can get it in the right place. And well, the 268 is going to get up there first. The Batchat's gone, the Patton's gone. It's just that 60 TP now. I'm afraid Cross of St George hasn't got a single kill this game so far, but he does have a lot of damage. 4093 is very good, and of course 5k blocked. I didn't think he was going to survive very long when the IS-7 abandoned him, but in actual fact he did rather well. Okay, so he's just going to wait here for the moment. The 60 TP is not in sight, and I don't think he's on the hill anymore. I think he's headed north. Oh, he is up here. He's hiding, and it looks like the 268 was fired on, so the 60 TP is in long reload, and there you go, he's out the game now. So Cross of St George does get a kill right at the end of the game, and it's the last enemy tank. Look at the front of that vehicle, that's really beaten up. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. Here's the end of battle results, and it was a second-class tanker for Cross of St George in the IS-4. He managed to get a shell proof for blocking more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle, a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle, and he got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He managed to get 7 in this one. He actually got a Spartan medal for blocking or getting a non-penetrating shot or ricochet when he had less than 10% of his hit points left. In fact, for most of the end of the battle, he had no hit points really to speak of, but he was still fighting and still getting damage on the enemy. In fact, of course, he got that last kill. He also got a steel wall for blocking the most damage in that game. Easily got that. And he also picked up a Confederate as well for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. At least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by other teammates. And he got those 6 there. You can see the last one being the 60 TP who he actually did kill. His win rate for the game, 3,423, which is Super Unicum standard. And remember, it was done with standard ammo. No premium ammo abused whatsoever. He doesn't get the same sort of damage totals as you get with the top guys like I Need Coffee Dude, or with someone like Oppenheimer, or even Filipperino for that matter, but they use premium ammo because they want the battle to be over quickly. They want to do maximum damage as much as they can, and then as soon as the game's over, get into another one quickly. So they're doing it for the highest amount of damage they could do, whereas Cross of St George is just trying to fight this battle with standard ammo, aiming it in the right spots to get the damage. It's very difficult to do. You can see he was having difficulty trying to get the cupolas on some of those tanks, but he was doing it occasionally and getting the damage, but he ended up the battle with very, very little left indeed on his own vehicle. If we look at the score, we can see that he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to the 60 TP with 5,262 hit points of damage. The next high scorer being Cross of St George with 4,132, and 4,131 went to the Jaeger. There was only 1 hit point in it between those two. The next high scorer being after that was the T110E4 on his own team with 3,267. When it came to kills, it was the Leopard 1 who did the best with 4 kills. Then we got the Batchat 25 ton. He got 3 kills in that game. Then we got a number of tanks with 2 kills apiece. The T110E4, the 268, the Batchat 155-58, and 2 tanks on the enemy team, the M48 Patton and their Object 277. I'm afraid Cross of St George only got the 1 kill right at the end of the game, but it was the one that mattered. But when it came to base XP, he was the only one over 1,000 base. 1,013 base experience points. 921 went to the IS-7. 902 went to the Death Star. Was that the... No, it's not Death Star. It's the FV215B British heavy tank that got that score. So let's have a look at detail. He fired 23 rounds in that game, got 15 direct hits and 9 penetrations. So he put the shells exactly where they would do the most damage. 2 splash as well, because he did fire some HE. 4,132 hit points of damage, of which 503 were at more than 300 meters. So the vast majority of the damage was done at close range. 16 hits received from the enemy, only 3 of which actually penetrated, which tends to show that the IS-4 does have relatively good armour. It's just, of course, it does have some glaring weak spots like the top of the roof of the turret, and of course if you fire the premium rounds you will get through. And of course he did take one in the upper plate, didn't he, when he was at the wrong angle and the IS-7 got an APCR round in through there. Damage of 4,132 hit points, of which 503 were at more than 300 meters. I think we did that, didn't we? Yes. Going over it again, he got 11 non-penetrations in that game. Huge amount of non-penetrations, considering he was up against very heavy tanks with very big guns, including a Jaeger with a 17cm. He actually received 5 hits by way of splash damage, people who were using HE on him instead of the standard AP, and he blocked damage of 5,720 hit points in total. That's a huge score. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 1 was killed, and 264 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 63,878 credits, got 74,593 for completing the holiday ops, and a total of 138,471. And because he used standard ammo, his ammo costs and repair were actually fairly cheap, and he ended up with a huge profit of 91,268 credits for the game. 7 bonds because it was at tier 10, 1,519 experience points, times 2 for the first victory, 3,039 experience points altogether. He says how to pen an IS-7 turret with standard AP modem lags. Yes, he was having a bit of problem with his connection, but he was penetrating an IS-7 turret, going for the weak spots either side, and it was going through with just standard ammo, no premium used, and yeah, it worked. So very well played to Cross the St. George. Just goes to show you don't have to use premium ammo, but if you do use premium ammo, you get the result a lot quicker, and then you can get into another battle and do it all again. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.